Hello, I'm Buckner, your economics instructor. And in this video, I'm going to discuss economic systems. So an economic system is the way a society is organized to answer three fundamental economic questions. The first question every society has to answer is, what do they want to try and produce? That is to say, what mix of goods and services do they aspire to create? Once they determine what they're going to make, they have to move into question two, how are they going to make it? So for most products, you can make them a variety of different ways. Oftentimes, products can be produced with a lot of human effort or labor and very little tools and equipment, called capital, or in reverse, you can make the same product with a lot of capital, so a lot of equipment, and very little human effort or labor. Lastly, once a society figures out what it's going to make and then how it's going to make it, it has to determine who's going to get what is produced. So all societies have to figure out some system for distributing the products that are created amongst the population. Now, when we look at economic systems, we have three basic types of ways that you can answer these three questions. Economic system type number one is a command system. In a command economic system, you have all three of these questions being answered by some government entity. Option two for an economic system type is a market system, sometimes referred to as a capitalist system. In a market or capitalist system, you have all three of these questions answered based on prices. So, for example, question one, what to produce? Firms will determine what to produce based on what they can generate higher prices for when they sell. Question two, how to produce? Firms determine how to produce things based on what offers them the lowest cost opportunities for producing those products. And then lastly, in a capitalist system, who gets what is produced is based on individuals' ability to generate income from selling their resources. So if you've got a person who can generate $100,000 a year in income, and you've got another person who can generate $50,000 a year in income, the person who can generate the higher income is going to get to consume or have a lot more of the stuff produced in that society. Now, important to note, in a market or capitalist system is there's very, very limited role for government. In a true capitalist or market system, government is really only going to provide a legal system and also a way to have enforcement of laws, meaning courts and police, and also a military. Our third economic system is going to be a mixed economic system. And simply, this is an economic system that has both command and capitalist or market-based features. So the United States of America is very much a mixed economic system. In the United States, a lot of the services that are created are provided by the government, and they are distributed to people regardless of their income. For example, poor kids have the same access to public schools as rich children do. So that's not purely based on income. When you determine how to produce things in the United States, there's generally a high degree of freedom in how businesses are allowed to operate in the United States relative to most other countries in the world, but there are government restrictions about how employers can treat their employees in terms of the amount of safety they have to provide them, in terms of the minimum wages they can pay them. There are restrictions on the amount of pollution they're allowed to put into the environment when they do production. So in the United States, we have a lot of command features, but we are more leaning towards being a market system, but ultimately it is a mixed system in this country.